Rain don't stop. 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 Rain don't stop.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Chewed Gum. I feel like I haven't been here in forever. Wow, I'm just like shaking so much. My camera is. Everything's cool.
Me too,
It
always.
is- always, yeah. It's December 10th. This is Chewed Gum. You know what? We're actually going to have to change this name thing over time because, Alyssa, I don't know if you know this, but I'm using my name now because why not? Everyone can figure
I
everything out on the
saw.
internet. So for those of you who don't know, we're like soft launching my actual name, which I feel like is really good evidence that I was indeed raised in a Christian home. My actual name is Promise. Oh yes,
Yeah.
I love the applause I'm getting for this. But I'm Promise or Eve, whichever you want to call me is fine. This is Alyssa. This is Chewed Gum. Give us a call at 720-619-2288. We're so excited to chat with you guys tonight. If you want to call with questions about deconstructing, about sexuality, or if you want to tell us what God you believe in and why, we will also be reading super chats of $5 or more at the end of the show, which is where we tend to have a lot of fun. I haven't
love
even
super chats.
seen my beautiful Alyssa's face in so long or talked to her
Mhm.
anything. How's life? What have you been up to? Anything exciting to share with the class?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really fun. It's been very busy. I realized in December I will be home and with like nothing going on for a total of 11 days in this whole month, which is like great. I mean, it's like all exciting things. I have my friend, I just picked up one of my friends, like we've been friends for literally 13 years, which is scary. And he's visiting from England. And so I have him in town for a couple of days and I'm really excited about that. And oh my God, I met Arden and Matt in person
I
yesterday.
saw this, and I'm so mad that they met you before I did. I did meet them, so I mean I've been like to the beach with them and everything. I know, but I haven't met you, which is actually
Isn't that
insane
crazy?
and terrible,
It's crazy.
and I hate it.
Yes, aligned. And yeah, so I went to lunch with them and it was just like I literally was like glowing on cloud nine, just like being able to like sit with them and like hold Arden's hand and I also got
I'm
to see
so
all of
jealous.
it was crazy. And then I got to see all of their snakes and their like little lizards and things, and it was really fun. They have such a fun house. I walked through their whole house like this.
I bet. That sounds like a dream come true. Aren't they also the best? Like, you know,
The
you
best.
meet people like this and you do this thing, and sometimes like people just aren't what you imagine them to be. And I feel
Mhm.
like Matt and Arden are so much cooler and even more amazing than what
Mhm.
I imagine them to be, you know, when you actually meet them. So I don't know.
100%.
I love that.
I love them. And also, I think like when you're meeting people in this situation where you're kind of like putting yourself in almost like defense mode, I guess, is really what you're doing. Cause like you're like taking phone calls and you're going to debate somebody and whatever. So you're like, the cadence of conversation is so like, the types of calls you're going to have and like the types of conversations you're
Right.
going to have. But like to just have lunch with them and have it be just like very chill and just about like nothing
Being
and silly
humans.
things. Yeah, just being humans was
Yeah.
so nice. And like I can't wait to do that with you, and I can't wait to do that with Jimmy, and like be able to have that, because really like the line and this community genuinely is so important to me. Like I was at a leadership like workshop conference thing for like days and days and days. And I can't tell you how much this show and this community came up. And like when I say this community, I mean like the people on this network, but like also the people in the chat, and like the conversations that we have here are so important to me and just important in general. And it just like really validated how much I fucking love it here and how much I love you guys. And it was just really special. And I want to know what's new with you now.
My heart smile. Honestly, kind of like not that much is new, just extremely busy. I missed the last couple of episodes because we were on the road, as usual. That keeps happening. I have some really exciting projects that I hate doing this to people too, that I can't say anything about, but like really, really exciting things. I feel like I can give a hint about one of them, and it involves writing. I'm just going to say that. And it won't be out for a while, but I'm just very excited. So there's things like that that are happening. Also, I went to Disney World because my husband and I went to Atlanta for Thanksgiving, and I was like, since we're going to Atlanta, what's just like 7 more hours away from there? Disney World. And my birthday's in January, so doesn't that make sense to just go ahead and go? Anyways, I have a very soft spot for Disney, and it was really nice, honestly, to just go there and like feel like a little kid for a couple of days, fully indulge. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about Disney if you were to ask me on a like another level, but as my inner child, I just wanted to be there and enjoy it. On my way there, I had a friend message me and be like, "Did you see the Daily Wire just made a video about you?" So I was like, "Oh,
I can't wait to watch it."
Honestly, there's not much to see. It's very boring, and they look like they don't look good. They didn't have anything cool to say. It was me sharing an analogy that a Christian gave me, and I was pointing out kind of how ridiculous that analogy is, and they're like, "That was a terrible analogy," and I was like, "Yeah, it was a terrible analogy," which is why I took the time to point that out by following the logic all the way through. So, anyways, fun times with the Daily Wire while I'm on my way to Disney World.
God. That's so crazy that they even did that. That's really embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for them.
We live interesting lives. I also feel like you got a lot of heat the last couple of weeks online. What did you post? Like we've both been, so we haven't seen each other's stuff. What happened? Tell us.
Posted. So there was a trend. I like forgot about this. So there was a trend that has been going around, and it's like hashtag women in male fields. And I think they're really funny. Like, it's a hard thing because part of me is like I can also hear the moments where it's like people joke about women get back in the kitchen and blah, blah, blah. And like those things are harmful to like the fabric of society. But I don't know. I thought that trend was funny. And I think
it's hilarious.
I think it's really funny. And like, I would like for us all to laugh together about it, but
using humor to point out real things, I think is amazing. I love doing that. But what is what did yours say exactly? Because I feel like it was really hilarious.
Mine was when he takes too long to finish, so I finish first and roll over. And
that's so good.
It's also like a really common thing that like it is an experience that women have all the time. Like there's a literal name for it. Like the orgasm gap is real. Like that is an actual thing. And it's one of those things where, yes. And for the people who felt very upset by it, I feel like if someone says to me, like, here's the thing, all feedback is neutral. It's how you receive it that is really sort of like the point. So like, over the weekend, I did like a lot of feedback exercises, and there was someone who did not know me at all and said that I showed up to him as being a spoiled brat. And I know that that's not true about myself. However, I know I was like, Ferretti,
I want to fight. Like anyone saying anything negative about you, I'm like, get the name out of your mouth.
That's how I feel all the time. That's why I don't look at your comments, because I'm like, I can't do it. Can't scram. But at the same time, there was lots of things that people said to me that didn't stick with me, because I was like, well, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. But that piece of feedback did stick with me, because even though I know that's not true, it like is something that I never want to be, and am self-conscious about enough that it stuck with me. So for the people who felt very affected by my little video about, I just, finished first and rolled over, I was like, you are unfortunately telling on yourself a little bit, because if this really affected you, then this is something that you've experienced or are insecure about, and that, my
Right.
friend, is a you problem.
It's a projection. It
Yeah.
happens. It fully
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, I mean, and at the same time, it's like, whatever. I'm just going to have to still make whatever kind of content I want, and I'm not going
Yeah.
to be for everybody. And it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, I love
Whatever.
you for it. You're my favorite, and I think you're the best.
I love you.
Also, I just noticed that my name changed, and it feels so weird. Yes, guys, that is actually my name that I was given at birth.
Yeah.
And people also, when I shared that that was my real name, they were like, you can change it. I'm like, yes, thank you. I do know that. And I would if I wanted to, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
I've come to terms with it, and I kind of also a name is just kind of a name is a name is a name. And I don't want to have to come up with a new one. And I appreciate that this one is unique. I appreciate that it tells a story of what I came from. And also, I don't care. So,
and I think it's nice that you're like redefining what that name means to you.
Thank you.
Like,
Thanks.
it's not like it can't harm you anymore.
Right. Yeah. And it's the name I'm used to hearing my whole life from the people that I actually love and enjoy being around. This is what the people that are closest to me in life call me, because it's the name I was given, and that's how it's worked out. And so it feels nice to hear that name. Eve is what people started calling me because they assumed that was my name. And then when I started feeling like I was in danger, I went with it. And I was like, cool, let's not use my real name. Now people can figure out whatever they want. And I don't want people having something to hold over my head. Like, this happens too. People be like, I figured out what your name is, because my family's pretty public with their stuff. And so whatever, I'd rather just use my name. And if I'm going to sacrifice my privacy, I would like the reward of being known by what everybody else calls me. So, but
Period.
That being said, it's going to be hard for people to get used to. So if I get called Eve, I don't care, whatever. And it's all good.
I'm proud of you for going with your real name, though. It's
Thank
amazing.
you.
I when it was popping up, I wasn't really supposed to be on my social media at all, but I would just open it literally out of instinct, and your things would pop up. If you posted something, it's popping up first, because my algorithm is I know you want to see, and I'm like, and you're right. Correct. So I saw it coming up. And every time it would come up, I would get chills, and I'd be like, wow, this is such a powerful moment for you. It's really exciting.
Thank you. What's really funny is I decided to make that post 5 minutes before I made it. I was cleaning around the house, and I was like, you know what?
Wow.
This feels like the time. I'm going to do it now, because I've been thinking about it for a while. So
fuck yeah.
Anyways, well, should we take some calls? We actually have a few in here. We do have a theist caller. Are you down to prioritize the theist caller?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. And for anybody else, you guys are welcome to get your calls in 720-619-2288. And also super chats of $5 or more. We will read at the end of the show. So let's talk to Cody from my hometown of Georgia. Hey, Cody, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
We're good. What did you want to talk to us about today?
Well, so I know we were talking earlier on Instagram about the existence of God and stuff. But
you're one of my Instagram
topic
commenters.
Yeah, hi.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hello?
I was just pointing that out.
Yeah, Cody, I don't have any context as to what you guys were talking about. So any information that you can provide to me on the context of where this conversation has been going would be super helpful.
Okay, so I'll be honest. I comment all the time on a bunch of different pages, so I kind of forget.
Okay.
But yeah,
it's okay. I get a lot of comments every day too. So what did you want to talk with us about today, Cody? Specifically, what's your reason for calling in? It says here that God is good for everybody. So I guess I would start with asking which God, or how do you define God?
Okay, so I exist somewhere between atheism and theism. I don't really hear any different beliefs or doctrine or anything. I just take knowledge where I can find it. And so if you're
Can I
going
just
by
ask
God
you
is good no matter what,
for
yes.
for a little bit of clarity, do you believe that a God exists?
Well, I think we just use words incorrectly, and God has been there the entire time.
Who decides if words are used correctly or incorrectly?
Well, I mean, just the way we attribute living things and consciousness, beings, things like that, we can attribute to the fundamental structure of the universe.
So, is your argument, just because I want to save us all time if this is true, is your argument that things that I would call one thing are what you would call God?
No, there's a plethora of things merged together that are notably referenceable as God.
Okay, I guess I need more of an explanation on that.
Yeah, I'd love more information.
Okay, so I'll elaborate. So there's a very distinct fundamental, something that exists. That's space, which you can, kind of imagine a series of colors because of quantum chromodynamics. There's a bunch of different colors that have amounts like quarks and gluons stabilizing. And then you can see positive and negative as black and white. And that's basically just space. And then time is the sequence of things occurring or things being able to move. And then there's a third fundamental concept, and that's information being able to recognize itself and patternize and form harmony. And to this information, time itself is existing in 3 dimensions, past, present, and future. It's above all that. So it can literally be above existence itself. And
Wait, does time
just kind of
exist
merges off
or
that.
is it above existence itself? You're already losing me.
Oh, no, it's the fundamental nature of information processing itself.
So does it exist or is it outside of existence? Which one?
It exists, but the concept is beyond existence. Like everything could just cease to exist and it'll just come back.
You're going to have to explain that to me like I'm 5 because I'm not following.
So imagine this. Just 1 + 1 = 2. Like, what's forming that equation? Like, obviously that's me in this instance, but at a fundamental level, something is causing it to be processed and actualized into, say, particle form, like quarks and gluons. It's essentially just time, space, and the ability to process itself, just forming a plethora of different patterns and organizing itself into particles and forming this beautiful bliss of harmony and quantum structure, coming together to form atoms, molecules, and stars, and black holes, planets.
Okay.
Us.
So you're describing some things that I think have to do with quantum physics. I was homeschooled, so I don't know that much. But I'm trying, where are we going with this?
Well, that's just, God. God's just
That's
the intelligence
God.
behind everything. Just
So how do
information
you
processing itself and knowing everything.
So this is
But
what I said from the very
why-
beginning, that you're redefining just things that we are learning about the universe and saying that's God. But how do you describe a God then?
Well, just intelligence, living, amounting to everything, omnipresent. I'd say all loving because entropy or negative entropy, it literally is a phenomenon that exists that allows everything to just emerge into this blissful pattern and just overcome everything. I can attribute that to love because, love always
But you're
allows
just
for creation.
subjectively deciding that that's what you think love is, because love is a very subjective term. So to me, I'm going to be honest, and then I want Alyssa to say what she has to say. To me, it sounds like you're just taking some things that we know a little bit about and you're saying, well, to me, that's God. And to me, that's useless information because I don't need the word God. Basically, you're taking all these things that you just took time to explain that I would need an actual scientist to validate for me. And I don't want the word God. At that point, I want those things detailed and explained in the way that it sounds you just attempted to do, and not putting the word God there, because that to me seems deeply unnecessary when we just have to look and say that's reality or that's a theory or that's something we're studying, Alyssa, what were you going to ask?
Yeah, there's also things that are natural patterns that happen in nature that, like, I guess you could I guess someone would say that is like a sign of God, but like when I think about like the is it a tetrahedron that is the shape of DNA? where it's like that very like specific, is that what that's called? No, it's called something else. But the way, like, if you think about like the shape of DNA,
The
it's like
double
this
helix.
little double helix, and it like has that little twist, and they all kind of have that same shape, and they all kind of look exactly the same. It's like there's this like uniform and pattern part of nature that is really interesting and really cool. But that to me is science and not God. That to me is like the influence of atoms organizing and not like a higher being. And I'm curious about why you're like, where the motivation comes to want to prescribe those phenomenons as being evidence of God versus just evidence of things that are.
Well, that's
Like,
pretty simple. It's
if I
because
have,
it's a very common word we use. 84% of the population is, religious in some aspect.
And we used to use the
So
word
the name
magic a lot
God is
more to
actually a
describe
real term that we
things.
use.
Right, but we used to use the word magic to describe all kinds of things that we didn't understand yet, and now we understand them. So I feel like as we understand things, we should use the words that most closely define them, not these vague subjective terms like God, because somebody can believe that God is the god of lightning. So anytime there's lightning, that's a sign of their god. Somebody can believe that God is the god of rainbows. So anytime they see rainbows, suddenly there's a sign of their god existing. What makes more sense? To actually figure out the science behind why lightning exists or why rainbows exist and how they're formed and how that happens in nature, and then call them rainbows and lightning, not signs of a god. So
mhm.
I'm still
Oh,
struggling. Alyssa nailed it. What is the point in calling something God when we could call it exactly what it is instead?
And further, Cody, when you were talking about like 1 + 1 = 2, like who decides that? I understand generally what you're saying, but if I have one apple plus another one apple, I now have two apples. It's like, why is your explanation that is God, and my explanation is I'm holding two apples, so 1 + 1 = 2 is my question. Like,
so there's no
what?
one that intrinsically decides it, but nature itself. God is nature itself, or the intelligence behind nature itself. And the name I use, God, it's attributable, just like the moon. We can call it the moon, or we can call her by her name, Luna, or we can look at the sun and be like, that's a star, or we can call it the
So,
sun
Cody, this
or
is
solar.
exactly what I said at the very beginning of the call. You're basically just
It's what we
calling
do,
in and
what people
saying
do.
that you're calling in and saying, oh, these things that we actually have figured out and have explanations for, let's just slap a mystical name to it instead. And I
Really
don't think
mystical.
that that makes any sense to do. I don't think that helps further progress. I don't think it helps educate people. I think it stunts progress. I think it hinders people from being more curious because then they go, oh, well, I don't know. So it's just God. Oh, I don't understand this. So it's just God. Instead of, no, let's dig into that. Let's really figure that out. You said a lot of things that I don't know if that's even true or not, but it's interesting to me. And I want to go look it up later and ask Forrest, more about quantum physics. I'm just not. I'm not finding value in this. And I think I remember you're the one in my Instagram today that was saying that we hung up on you. I don't recall ever speaking to you before. I believe you that we did because I don't remember a lot of calls. But um, I I don't want to hang up on you. But I do want to say I just don't see a lot of value to this phone call or argument because you're just saying let's relabel terms that are more specific and
World
more
peace,
explanatory and
yeah,
provide more
right.
education with words that are more archaic, that are very vague, that don't explain a lot, that don't express a lot, that also perpetuate superstition and lack of knowledge. And I don't think that is conducive to a society that progresses and does better and learns more.
I have a lot to add to that, actually. So the main thing we have as a big problem on this planet is world peace. And that's because we can't come to conclusions about how terms are used or I like this God, Allah, or my God is Yahweh, this, that. It's because it's all subjective preferences and how to label things. If we just came to the objective understanding that Allah or Yahweh, God, is just the intelligence of nature itself, then they just break down a lot of walls and we could just start understanding each other to a higher degree and not have to deal with all the bullshit that comes
But do
from
you
Cody,
like
in
think
your
personal
it
preferences or terms.
experience,
If
have you seen evidence of religion and believing in God create more peace or more pain? Because in my experience, I see pain over and over and over again. So I think that, to me, 1 + 1 = 2 because it just is. And if I add God to that equation, I'm adding unnecessary pain to that. And I think that we as human beings are fully, fully capable. Don't sell us short. We are capable of having love for one another, probably even more so without implying a higher being, especially one that is tied to an organized religion and has historically created massive amounts of pain and hurt and harm for people physically, mentally, emotionally. So my question to you is, you have a limiting belief around what human beings are capable of. We are capable of love and care without the presence of an organized religion or a God. We are fully capable
I'm
of
not
doing
religious.
that. Okay. But you're arguing here that God is good for everybody. So that's why I'm using these terms.
Oh yeah,
You not
nature.
being
Like
religious
a fundamental
proves
understanding of nature is good for everybody.
your
God.
not being religious proves my point, actually, because you're showing up here with the intention of, I want to have a more loving society, but you don't believe in religion. So
Well, I mean, I understand religion, but
So
I treat
why
it
are
like
we
a child's
catering?
but
tool.
you don't
Like
but
God's
you don't
tool to
believe it.
help
So
people level up and have understanding of nature.
what's the point of your argument? If God is good for everybody, but it's not good for you, Cody, I'm
Oh, God
confused
is
about
certainly good for
where.
me. I pray. I'm a devout understander of nature
That's
and God.
religion.
I
That,
don't
just so you
necessarily
know,
believe
you're
in God, but
following.
I do
That's the
understand God
definition.
perfectly.
Right. That's the definition of religion. To claim that you know a God and know about a God, that's very religious. To pray, all of that in the context of believing in a God, which is what you're saying. So you can say it's not
Well, you understand
religion.
the placebo effect,
That's
right?
fine. Do what?
You understand the placebo effect, right?
Do I understand the placebo effect? Are you not listening to what we're
Yeah.
saying right now? Because you're not responding to, so far, you're not responding to what we're saying. You're just going on and bringing up other points. So when you're actually engaging in this conversation, it would help if you'd listen to what we say and respond to what we say before you jump onto a new thing. Because it's making me feel like you don't actually want to have a conversation. You just want to say a bunch of stuff.
I apologize for that. I do understand what you understand or what you assert with a religion being detrimental to society and whatnot. I just see it as an old world tool to help people adhere to moral values. In the modern age,
Why do I?
we should learn what we can from religion and just try to develop it into something more beautiful that we can all enjoy together and that
Do
brings
you
us
know?
closer together. Not religion,
Do you
but
know what I care
understanding.
about more than what's beautiful? I care about what's true and what aligns with reality. And instead of
Okay.
catering to old world mentalities where we didn't know things because we didn't have technology, we didn't have the tools to communicate in mass like we do now, we didn't have the ability to perform these incredible studies, we have that now. So now we can look at stuff and be like, oh yeah, I know we used to think that fire was magic from some god that like would shoot it down to us, but actually we know exactly what causes it and we know how to recreate it and all these things. So now we don't have to call it magic, we can call it fire. And I don't
Right.
understand why you want to go back in time and start labeling things that we have long figured out or are on our way to figuring out with the word God, when people, as you pointed out, can't even agree on what that God is, what that God looks like, what that God wants. And therefore, we don't have peace because they're constantly fighting each other over who's right about God. We don't have to figure out who's right about God. Somebody needs to let me know if there's even a God that exists. And no one's been able to do that, including this phone call.
Yeah. And also, Cody, these religious texts are notoriously violent. Notoriously violent. The entire like pinnacle of the Bible is a person being hung on the cross because there was a lack of understanding for a person who had a different idea. That's the like crux of it. So I don't believe, and I don't think that you've successfully demonstrated how God and religion
Nature's a work.
brings love to
Yeah.
environments. I am curious to see if there is a path that you feel will get you there. I don't feel that at this time.
Okay.
And I feel like it has almost done the opposite. Not almost, it has repeatedly done the opposite over and over again. So I'm failing to see your point here.
I mean, we could always make a formally structured debate.
That's what this entire show is about.
I mean,
Also,
formally
I have
structured.
to tell you, Cody,
We can
if
do
you want
like
to
live
formally
stream and
debate
everything.
somebody,
You can do my favorite.
so if you want to formally debate somebody on the line, I think we're actually working on a show where that can happen. I'm going to let you know that there's going to be a bit of an audition process. And just based on how this call has gone and your inability to respond to what we're actually saying and your inability to adhere to some terms, and you're getting really abstract and subjective with things, I don't know that that's going to land you a seat across from any of us. You are welcome to try. As soon as we start launching that, I will post the information about it. But yeah, a formal debate, we have to make it past this point first. If you said something tonight that made Alyssa and I be like, you know what, that was a great point, we would let you know. We've said that to people on this show before. I haven't heard any great points.
If I broke your beliefs,
So-
more than anything, you'd look frustrated. You'd look basically unsure of yourself. You look less confident, unhappy. And I'm looking at your faces right now. You don't look particularly happy.
So Cody,
this is
if
a
you have
belief
to
system.
go,
If we
Atheism
look
is a literal belief
frustrated,
system.
if we look frustrated, unhappy, disengaged, it's because nothing you've said has been particularly like given me any inspiration any other way. And I am fully,
Of course,
I
thank
am
you.
so up for being, I am so ready to like enroll in a conversation about how we as a human species need to find better ways to love each other, and like, and that
Yeah.
nature is amazing and does really amazing things. And like, it's insane that the DNA, whatever, double helix is the shape that it is. Like, I'm so down for those kinds of conversations. What I think is a different thing is happening here, which is you should show up in this conversation to me as being incredibly righteous and not demonstrating any of your points, and then being very cavalier about how we seem unhappy and disappointing, or whatever adjectives you used, because you're not getting the response that you wanted from us. And so I think that this is a moment of feedback and reflection for you, which is, I don't know what reaction you wanted to get from us, but
Oh, nothing.
I
Just
don't,
spreading knowledge. I've already been where you are.
I didn't hear what, sorry, repeat that.
I said I've already been where you were or are. I was an atheist for years until, I had like a fucking crazy vision, met Jesus, and wanted to die for like 6 months because I couldn't figure out things with science, and I had to really branch out.
I'm happy that you're in a better
It was
place
wild.
mentally, truly, fully.
Yeah.
I am.
God
And
broke me.
I have no,
I had to learn
I
that
have,
shit.
yeah, and that's great. And I'm happy for you. And this is a space where we welcome conversations about why, like, how you had that experience. And also, if you bring those conversations to the table on this show, it is for the purpose of us challenging them. That's the reason why people call in. So we are trying to challenge you to expand what you experienced, and I'm trying to challenge you. Enroll me in your experience, Cody. Tell me how that went, and tell me why it's important. But you're unable to do that. And then your response was to attack who we are personally. So
yeah,
that
Yeah,
is a moment of
technically.
reflection
Cody,
for you. That's not an
I'm-
effective argument. And then you want to have a formal debate. Figure out how
Yeah.
to have an effective argument first. That's not a formal debate. You didn't feel like you were demonstrating your point, and then you made an attack on how we were showing up to you physically.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking
Right.
unhappy by my responses, that's something I can say. And if
I don't
anybody
give a
wants
shit
to
gotta
see
tell
who
you-
I am or what I say on the internet, check out Ljub's page. I comment all the time. I always
Cody,
win. Always.
Cody,
Okay.
if you go and you try to do any kind of formal debate with anybody that's actually skilled at this, and you drop an ad hominem like you just did, you're going to be a laughing stock. I don't believe you that you always win. Somebody who goes around saying I always win, that's already like kind of laughable at this point, and it shouldn't be about winning. And that's
Yeah.
why I also don't think you're honest, because I think if you care about being honest and you care about actually having discussion, you're not going around saying I won. You're going around showing up, having an honest conversation. And we're real people. We are honest, we're showing up, we're here trying to talk, and it doesn't have to be a formal debate if you have convincing evidence. And you haven't offered that tonight, and that's okay. That's fine. You can say that you feel more comfortable calling the universe and calling science God. If that works for you, go for it. I don't think it's a good idea. I stated very obviously why I don't think it's a good idea, and I didn't hear a good rebuttal to that at all. You're welcome to call back sometime if you want to go back and listen to this call and maybe see what you can refine for next time. It's not just Alyssa and I that are witnessing this conversation. There's a lot of other people, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments for you to go back and observe. And I think it would help you to maybe go get a reality check and read those comments after the show is posted.
Oh, people and their subjective preferences. Yes, I'm above that.
Cody, I
understand everybody has a perpetuated bias in the situation, and nobody's truly going to be for me. Why would they? They're
Cody,
trying to advocate on behalf of atheism and trying to validate themselves.
Here's the thing, Cody.
normal
We've said this.
human stuff.
We've said this before many times when people who are theists call in. If you are calling in to a show that you know is a channel that is catering to the atheist community, the burden of proof is on you. It is not on us. It is on you. You did not show up here with substantial proof to back up a claim that you wanted to create. That is your responsibility, not mine. So stop trying to place
with subjective opinions. Like, I don't like.
I just muted you
yes,
because
Cody.
it's also.
And I'm sure Cody has no subjectivity at all. He's just an objective, neutral person.
Right. And here's the thing too, Cody. You again made comments about how we were showing up in this conversation. You continued to talk under your breath while Promise was trying to make a point. You did it to me as well. You interrupted me now too. So what in what world do you think that you would succeed in a formal debate? You did not succeed in this conversation. Even as a person who is saying that you wanted to show up in love and in good faith in this conversation, you continue to talk over and under us. So, Cody, I think that this is genuine feedback for you as a human being who wants to show up in spaces in a loving way, allegedly. You should listen back to this call, and I would like you to maybe reflect on how you did show up. And especially as a person who then said, I always win. Is this about winning? This is not about winning for me. This is about having nuanced conversations with human beings, whether our views align or not. And maybe we change perspectives, but it's not about winning. So moments of reflection, heavy moments of reflection for you, my friend. I'm unmuting you now.
Nice. Well, good to be back. I didn't even know I was muted.
That's amazing that you didn't even know. That means you talked over me the whole time. You had no idea. You had no idea that you were even muted. That's crazy. Do you understand? Are you hearing it? Do you see what I'm saying? That you're saying you're showing up one way, but the way you actually are showing up is very different.
I'm having a human emotional response to being, thrown a bunch of stuff at and not being able to respond when I need to. I have ADHD, so when somebody's talking to me,
Cody,
and they keep going on and on, and I have a place to say something I didn't like to say.
Cody, listen, I have ADHD too, and I'm fully capable. You're full grown. How old are you?
28.
You are capable of listening. You're 28 years old. You are capable of listening and waiting your turn. And I'm going to hold you to a higher standard than you're holding to yourself. So that, again, a moment of reflection for you. I'm going to hold you to a higher standard than the standard that you're holding to yourself. You are capable of listening and taking your turn. And we have spent 25 minutes on this call, and I would love for you to call back with a more structured conversation, because I feel like through most of this felt like we parented you through this conversation. And being 28 years old, having a claim like you do, calling into a show that is, is going to be, we're going to have an opinion contrary to the one that you're calling in with. Show up. I'm sure you can do it. Show up, prepare an argument, and show up here because you're capable of doing it. I don't want to hear the ADHD stuff because I have ADHD too and I figure it out. Hold yourself to a higher standard and show up next time. And I'm happy to hear from you. We both are. We spent 25 minutes on this call. Obviously, we're not trying to silence you in any way. Is that a deal?
Well, I think, a higher degree of integrity being perpetuated towards me by both of you would be, nice. I know it's your show and all, but
how are we not being integrous? How are we not being integrous towards you?
Trying to dismiss it and attack
we listened
more preferable.
Cody, we listened to your argument. Cody,
Yeah,
we
Cody,
listened to your argument and you admittedly spoke over us for so long you didn't even realize you were muted. So how is that you acting in integrity and us not? We addressed your arguments over and over again, and then you admitted I didn't hear the thing that you said. So explain to me how that's you acting in integrity and us not acting in integrity. We are the hosts of this show. The burden of proof is on you. And when I called you out for not paying attention, you said, I have ADHD. You immediately took the out. That is not
No,
integrity.
that was
That
actually
is
me
taking the
saying
out.
I have to speak when I have something to say, or I'll forget what I'm about to say.
Write it
So
down.
Cody, do you know what I do
Figure it
on this
out.
show?
Let's
I
type it.
sit here and I
You
make
want
a
to go on
note.
Instagram again? How many times we debated? Like
So
30?
hey Cody, this is the last thing I'm going to say,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to let you go because I want to give everybody else time, and we've given way too much time to this call. Go back and listen. We tried to have a conversation with you. We addressed exactly what you said, and then you would continue responding with something completely different, and you didn't respond to what we actually said, and you didn't make a good point because of that. Maybe you could have been able to. I'm not sure. It's fine. If you're not good at this kind of back and forth, that's fine. Maybe you're great at typing things out, and you should go continue doing that and winning like you said you're doing. I have never, ever seen that. Nobody's ever messaged me and said, hey, somebody just proved the existence of a God in your comment section. And I have a lot of Christians that send me all kinds of messages all the time. And I'm pretty sure they would notice if somebody had pulled that off. If you want to call back sometime when you have your thoughts together more, you're absolutely welcome to. I do think if you care about having positive and integrous conversations, then you should go back and take a listen to this one. And if you have notes for Alyssa and I, call back with those as well. But I think I'm good on this call. We're gonna let you go. Take a listen to it. It might surprise you.
All right. Well, y'all have a great night. Remember, Jesus
Thanks,
loves
Cody.
you. Bye.
Okay.
It's always Jesus loves you at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, from the non-religious person. I got to tell you something. I have a theory. I don't know how to find this out for sure. Maybe Amargan knows if we can find this out. But I don't think you saw it. When I was last on, I was on with Forrest, and somebody called with a voice disguiser saying their name was Rick. And it's the same cadence that this guy talks in, saying, hey, I'm in your Instagram all the time and I'm always winning. And he started the whole thing off saying, if I beat you at this debate tonight, then you have to like say that I won or something. He said something. And
yeah,
basically just completely embarrassed himself in the conversation, and it didn't go. Obviously, he made no point. And then that same person called back later that night on a different voice disguiser with a different name and got equally weird. And part of me is like, is this the same?
Maybe the same person?
Because it's using the same language of winning, and I'm on your Instagram winning all the time. I don't know. Maybe there's a way we can figure that out.
Yeah, Cody was not Rick.
Cody was not Rick.
No, you can actually go back if you remember which show it is, and we have a young lady named Faya Halo who timestamps all of the calls, so you can actually find the call pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I remember the call. It was a voice disguiser. That's what part of me wonders if this is like calling from a different phone situation, but who knows? Yeah. Bottom line is equally poor conversation, and we got nowhere.
Also
go ahead.
Someone in the comments was saying they look like that because they're bored, and like, yeah, I was bored. I was a little bored with that conversation, and it was like, I was like, I don't really. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? And also, like, again,
I'm sorry. Nobody talks about how Jimmy's face looks or Matt's face looks. They talk about what they say, but they're not talking about their facial expressions. So to police that, like the tone policing situation and how we look, just make a good argument. That's all you have to do. And even if we suck, the rest of the World Wide Web will see the argument.
Yeah. And also, like, I'm going to be so fucking honest. I have enough Botox in my forehead that you can't really guess how I feel.
I love you.
Good luck. Good luck.
Oh, man.
It's not going to happen. Not for another 3 to 4 months will you guess how I feel. And that is by design.
That's my favorite. I love that for you. That was wild. Once you jump to ad hominem, even if he was right, let's pretend we just looked like we don't give a shit. Like, how is that helping your argument in any way to point that out? And you want a formal debate. Absolutely.
Yeah, I also never understand the like winning thing. And it's the only times that people have said that to us where they're like, I just won this is when I was literally telling the friend that I picked up at the airport, I was telling him how we had gotten that once from a guy who like I said to him, and I think I clipped it. I literally said to him, not a single person in this chat agrees with you. And it's always the people that like everyone in the chat is like, what the fuck is this guy on about? They're always like, well, I won this anyway. And I was like, if that's what you need to believe,
Yeah,
that's fine.
sure. Also, I don't care about winning. I just want to know if something is
Right.
true or not. And if you can't
Yeah.
convince me, then you didn't, quote, win. So
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, very interesting. We have a couple more theists. Are you okay if we keep prioritizing theists tonight?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it. Let's do it.
I love you always, and I extra love you tonight. So let's talk to James in Dubai. So why is my camera shaking so much? Sorry, everybody. Hey, James,
Mine
you
is-
are on with Promise and Alyssa.
Hi, James.
Hi, can you guys hear me well?
We can.
Yes.
All right, well, let me just start off by saying that if I ever end up talking over you guys, I promise it's not on purpose. It's just a connection or whatever.
Thank
I'll
you.
try my best not to do that. But my argument is pretty much just that God or religion, the Bible, whatever religion someone believes in, it could be good specifically for women as long as certain conditions are met, right? So this argument will not be based on whether God exists or not, because I honestly don't think it pertains or affects the argument at all. I'm personally
Okay.
atheist. I'm married to, my wife is an atheist. She's always been an atheist. She's intelligent and super smart and beautiful. So like, you know, I have no biases against either side. My sister, who I'm very close with, is a Christian, hardcore Christian, right? So I feel like I have a pretty good view of like both sides of the aisle. And my argument is pretty much predicated on this. Can we agree that the environment that you grow up in helps shape your identity?
Yes.
Helps or hurts, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It does impact
and-
how you turn out. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And can we agree that synchronicity between your environment and how you identify your identity plays into how comfortable you are in certain environments? Like they have to be in sync. The environment that you're in and your identity.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Meaning if I'm an atheist living in like a Christian community and that's gonna cause problems for me.
And not so much problems, but more might be a little bit uncomfortable. Like for example, if you take a trans person and you put them in like Kentucky, I don't think they're gonna be super happy there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get where you're going with this.
Yeah. So now that we've granted these things, I would say that as long as these conditions are met, so if a woman is either born into a religion or freely joins it, my sister specifically was born into Christianity, but she's free to leave anytime she wants. Like no one is holding her hostage, right? That's very important. It cannot be forced upon the person. So as long as she's freely choosing to be a Christian and continue to be a Christian, right? So that's number one. Number two, having grown up in a conservative culture, as she has, she feels comfortable in it because, like we said, environment impacts identity, and her identity is shaped by the environment she's lived in. And, you know, she's lived in Europe before, she's lived in Western, I guess you can say atheist countries or whatever, non-religious countries. And like, you know, she's experienced what that's like, and she feels more comfortable in a conservative culture, right? And so like, as long as we grant those two things, that, you know, the woman is in the religion freely by her choice, and that she grew up in a conservative culture, religion can actually be good for that woman, as opposed to atheism or like, you know, someone trying to get her to stop believing in that religion or in God in general, right? Because she finds comfort in the fact that even if she lives in a very Western society where maybe, like, you know, certain areas, it's not that religious and people are a little bit different than, like, specifically I'm talking about the Middle East here, obviously. She might be a little bit uncomfortable with if she's trying to find someone, a dating partner or something like that, there'll be a clash there, right? And you can say specifically that, you know, her having her religion, her having the Bible, her having her community and church, that's like a safe space for her to always go back to, a place for her to always, like, you know, feel at home no matter where she is in the world. So in a way, that makes it so religion can be good for women sometimes.
So what I hear is a great argument for adhering to status quo and that makes your life more comfortable. I'm not hearing an argument that is exclusive to why Christianity or religion or God or the Bible exclusively is good for women. So I can agree with your argument that life is a lot easier when you go with the flow. As somebody who left, as somebody who is, quote, the black sheep of my family, and it is holidays are fascinating for me, being the only one who thinks like I do out of my entire family. It would be so much easier. I would make so much more money. Everything in my life would be technically easier if I were to stay in that. However, internally, I would not be at peace because I would be following something that I don't believe is true, that I don't believe is helping my life on a deep level. It would only be helping on a practical level. So great argument for the idea of like following along with the crowd. I still haven't heard an argument for why there is an exclusive goodness to God or religion or the Bible. Alyssa, sorry.
No, I was interrupting you. What are you talking about? I also hear a strong argument for why just community spaces are really important and really helpful. And you can do that without religion or the Bible or a belief in God. Like I actually, funny enough, had like started this call saying like I feel so much deep community with the people that are a part of the line, and it like means so much to the fabric of who I am, so much so that I went to Austin, which is a city where I literally don't know anyone aside from Arden and Matt, who are part of this community, and it like spending the afternoon with them like made my heart like glow. And they are part of a community that is atheist. And so community is important for who we are as human beings, and that doesn't require religion, you know?
Okay, so to respond to that, I would say when you say that it's going along with the flow or following the people and like, you know, sticking with the status quo, I agree to a certain extent, but it depends on the person, right? Because the assumption there is that, let's say if we're using my sister here as an example, is that deep down she doesn't actually believe in God, which I feel like is an unfair assumption to make. In her case specifically, trust me, deep down, she believes more than I do. Like, it's actually incredibly difficult sometimes to, like, you know, talk with her about some things because of how she will make everything religion-centric. And like I said, my family is not deeply religious. She came to that all on her own. She's the one who grew herself into, like, this level of religiosity, I guess. So it would depend on the person. For her case specifically, as long as she genuinely believes, like, you know, in God and in the Bible and Christianity, then that's just where she feels the most comfortable. Now, if you're talking about...
let me clarify real quick. I'm not saying that it would be better for somebody to pretend. I mean, I also could say that, but that's not what I'm saying. Of course, that makes my point even further. Of course, it's better for your sister to stay in an environment where people think like her and believe like her. I'm still not hearing an argument for the exclusive goodness of God or the Bible or anything like that. I'm hearing great arguments for, like Alyssa pointed out, community, for being around like-minded people, because we could just go ahead and make this whole argument and talk about why then atheism is good for people. Because I could say, wouldn't it be better for me to be in my atheist community and be around people that don't believe like I do? You know, we could go back and forth on that. So I'm just curious, like, just for conversation's sake, because this, you know, we can just end this call and say, like, cool, we all agree community is great, and it's great to, you know, be around people that think like you do and all of that. Although I still have problems with echo chambers. But unless you have an argument specifically for the goodness, the exclusive goodness of a God or of religion or of the Bible that cannot be found outside of it, then it's going to be less interesting to me, because we're probably going to agree, which is great.
I would say the unique thing about, let's assume Christianity in this case, would be that it's something that transcends culture, it transcends race, and it transcends pretty much everything that we identify with when it comes to ourselves, right? So as a good example for this,
I don't
would
know what you
say,
mean by
let's
that.
say, yeah, so
Because
like
I would
maybe
only
like,
I would only associate it with those things. So I don't know what you mean by transcends those things. How would I
well,
detect that?
let's say for example that my sister, for example, she leaves the Middle East, and she travels, and she goes to Europe, or she goes to the US or wherever, right? And she, is going out on a few dates. She's trying to find someone. I'm going to use like relationships specifically, or just because it's an easy example. She can learn a lot about a man on a first date. Obviously she can tell visually, like, the physical appearance. From talking to him, she can tell about his job, his culture to a certain extent. But all of that doesn't tell her much about what kind of man he would be for her specifically, like if he's a good fit with regards to his values, until she learns whether he's Christian or not, right? As soon as the man says, oh, I'm Christian, I was raised Catholic, or I was raised Orthodox, or whatever, that gives her like a list of things about him that may or may not be true, but most likely will be true depending on the guy, that she can instantly be like, okay, well, he probably will be a better fit for me than a man who's an atheist, for example. So that's something kind of like that's an anchor.
But
I would say that
that's not
religion
exclusive to
specifically is an anchor.
Christianity. Because that's
Well,
also
yeah,
we can
that's
say
why.
that about saying I'm an atheist, or about saying I'm vegan, or about saying I love traveling, or that's us using language to summarize something and communicate it, and then based off of our life experiences, we often apply assumptions to that word, where we start judging that person based off of that, for better or for worse. So again, I'm still not hearing anything exclusive about Christianity or anything unique to it.
Well, I would say what's exclusive about, if we're going to continue with Christianity as an example, what's exclusive about Christianity is that what can you use as an alternative? Like it can't be you. It's not a placeholder. Like you can't just be like, okay, well, you can remove Christianity and add atheism, because in that scenario, atheism doesn't really tell you much about what the person is like, because anyone can be an atheist. Where with Christianity, or to some extent a lot of other religions, is most people who are religious, not just by label, but who are religious, who practice, they tend to share a lot of common values, right?
Sure,
Where something like
I can say
atheism is very.
I can say that I'm a human secularist, though. So there's also other terms I can use that can define my worldview. I can use a few in a row, because even when I was a Christian, I would take my time, because I've never liked labels, and I use them very begrudgingly, because you have to do that for communication's sake. So again, we're just describing communication. We're just describing language and words, and that's cool. I'm asking what is exclusive to these things that cannot be found outside of religion. And I still haven't heard that. If you're saying that Christians have developed a quicker way to communicate their shared values, I also don't find that to be true, because I can do the exact same thing. I've never struggled with that. In fact, I've found more community that relates to my positions and my values since leaving Christianity, because of the problem you stated, which is that a lot of Christians believe all kinds of things, and you can't know everything based off of just saying, I'm a Christian. So now it maybe takes me 2 more sentences to communicate kind of where I'm at, but I can still figure out, and I did, which is how I got a husband, figure out shared values, and from a first date, and decided to go on a second date. So I'm looking for the uniqueness. Alyssa, are you picking up something that I'm missing, or is this both of us, or what?
No, I think that's generally what it is. And like, here's the thing. I think I never want to get in the conversation of like, if someone has faith and that is important to them and they have no problem with it, it's not my business. It's like not like, so if that works for your sister, and you obviously have a lot of care and love for your sister, like I can hear that even just like the way that you're describing her, and like, then more power to her. If that's makes her comfortable and makes her feel like she's found community, then who the hell am I to say that she shouldn't have community in that way, But I think there's also a lot of space to recognize where community can be found, oftentimes that is more accepting and that is more diverse. And like, So for instance, if I don't know why I always use the example of pottery class. Like I've never taken a pottery class in my life. I don't know anyone who's taken a pottery class,
Can we
but
do
I
that
always use this
together,
example.
please?
I would love that, but only if we
Okay.
can do the thing like in Ghost,
Yeah.
where they,
Yes, please.
yeah.
Great.
But so if you were to participate in an activity that has nothing to do with a belief system, like a pottery class, you could find community with people who are atheists, people who are Christian, people who are Muslim. You could find community based on this shared belief that has nothing to do, or not shared belief, shared activity that has nothing to do with your belief system. And then in that circumstance, I would argue that's even better because now you have diversity and you're not living in an echo chamber. You have these conversations from different perspectives that like add so much color to your life and to your community. So I think I understand the point that you're making, that it provides community, it provides companionship, it provides support. And religion is very far from the only community that can do that for you. There are so many communities that can do that for you, that I think there is even so much so that there's an argument where you can find other communities providing even more. Actually, I don't know that I don't know. I was going to say that that might be more superior community, but I don't really know that that's true. I don't think that's true because that's like people's experience and it can be whatever they want it to be. But you can find community in so many different spaces that are not just this, is my point.
Okay, I'll concede the point that there is nothing. I agree with you. There is nothing specifically unique about Christianity or religion in general. It's like you said. It's a community. I would say it is a unique community compared to other communities, but that's not because of the religion itself. That's mostly just because of how humans kind of like collect around religion and form communities.
Yeah.
So I'll concede that point. I'll say there's nothing specifically unique. I'll just say, like, my point being that religion isn't just blanket bad for women. Depends on the religion, obviously. But me personally, I will make the statement that if you go from an echo chamber, like, just staying within a Christian community and never like conversing with anyone outside of it, versus actually going to a more diverse community, that's always going to be superior. I'm very comfortable saying that because that was my experience personally.
Yeah, well, and you're
yeah.
calling us, so I appreciate that. Yeah, James, I just want to, first of all, I have enjoyed this conversation. But yeah, I'll point it. So I get asked all the time, well, what was there anything good that you got? Because I was raised Christian. They're like, was there anything good you got out of those 25 years? And of course, there's all kinds of great things. I have amazing parents. They believe some wacky stuff that I don't agree with. They have some values that I do not align with. But my dad was an amazing dad. My mom was an incredible mom. I don't think what made them good was exclusive to Christianity. I don't think wow,
Jesus God.
I don't think what I experienced that was positive is exclusive to Christianity. But that doesn't mean that I didn't experience something good. So I say that to validate your point of like, yes, of course, there can be some things, and for some women, Christianity is the best thing that ever happened to them because it gave them certain positions whenever. I don't think it's exclusive to the religion and to the belief. I think it's the circumstance, which sounds like what we've all agreed on. So again, I appreciate the call so much. You're welcome to call back anytime.
May I just say one last thing?
Sorry about my
before you
dogs.
disconnect?
Yeah, please.
No, you're fine. I will say, like, when I called in, I was just kind of playing devil's advocate for my sister's point of view, just because I genuinely believe that there is not a single man on this planet that can make a case that religion is either bad or good for women. That's something that only women specifically can speak to. So I know it was going to be like, I got my work cut out for me. I just wanted to give it a try. But if you would ask me about my personal belief, I have a lot of issues with the way, like, the Bible and Christian communities in general kind of like scoff over certain things that are, let's say, problematic, that are aimed towards women and have been used to, like, oppress women over like the decades. It's one of the things that kind of pushes me away from Christianity sometimes. But yeah, I'll let you guys get to the other callers. Hope you guys have a good night.
Thanks so much, James. Have a great night.
Thank you, James.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's how a conversation can go when we both address like what each other is saying, when we take time to hear. I don't know. I love calls like that. Like even if you and I had been like, actually, that's a great point. Like whichever way it went, that wasn't a very high stake. call.
That was
It's not like he was like, I'm going
literally
to prove a God. But why can't people just do that and be respectful?
that was literally like that was such a gift to have the stark difference between Cody and then immediately James. It was like the difference between James coming up, like showing up with like a good faith argument, not even an argument, but like a debate point. That was more of like an actual like he actually
Yeah.
was like, I actually think I have something to contribute to this conversation. And
Right.
also we went back and forth on things where like we align and other things where we didn't, and had respect for each
Yep.
other in that conversation, and then didn't shirk the responsibility of well, I have ADHD, so no, I'm not doing that. James, that was awesome. You can call back anytime.
Yes,
And
thank you.
I hope that Cody was still watching.
Yeah, that's a masterclass for others that want to call in. I feel like we're just
Yeah.
gentle parenting so many of these young guys that
Literally.
call in.
Truly.
Oh man. Well, should we get through it? We've got a couple more calls, and then we can get to our super chats of $5 or more. That sound good to you?
Yes.
Do you want to pick which one? Do you want to just go down the line? What do you think?
We can go down the line. It doesn't matter to me. I'm down for all of these. Or if there's anyone that calls to you, I'm happy to
I'm kind of interested in Giddy.
Okay.
Let's see. Hey, Giddy, you are on with Promise and Alyssa.
Hi. That last call was a great call.
Yeah,
I think so too.
right?
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm gonna win this one.
Let's hear it.
No. I don't. I'm just gonna get to my question. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get
do
into it.
Yeah. If you need to call Cody for help so
Okay.
you can win, then let us know. We can do like phone a friend.
Oh,
No. I would. No, thank you. Anyway, so yeah. So I guess I'll just read off the script. Yeah, with an incursion of religious nationalism in government aiming to take away women's rights, why hasn't there been any large men's movements akin to the 4B movement? Because in my opinion, which is correct, many women's issues are also men's issues and kind of men's responsibilities. So I have two thoughts that led me to ask this question.
Yeah.
And the first one, more relevant to the show, is that here in northern Utah are religiously pressured to have many children. So after completely banning abortions here, wouldn't vasectomies be banned next to achieve that religious goal? And the second thought I had about it is that most of the violence towards women is men's violence towards women, but somehow it's framed as a woman's issue, and I just don't understand why this isn't an issue that we as men are forming movements to solve. I'm just confused by it.
I have so many thoughts about this.
I feel like you have to ask the men that question, because I feel like I have that question for them myself oftentimes. And maybe that's happening some places that I'm not aware of. As far as the 4B movement goes, I'm one of those that doesn't think that would work here no matter what, because I think that our culture here is so diverse. I think it's going to backfire. I think it worked in South Korea for a reason. And I don't think it would work here for a reason. So that's another topic, though. You're talking about why aren't men, rallying and doing similar things. I do not know. It's oftentimes hard to rally people around something that would cost them something that they can't see the immediate benefit for. Obviously, when you're fighting for your own life and your own rights, you're more motivated. I think that is why a lot of people on the right become staunchly anti-abortion, because that's a really easy thing to get enraged about and moralize that you're ultimately not going to actually have to do anything about. They don't have to do anything other than maybe keep it a secret if they ever actually go get an abortion. But they don't actually have to, they don't have to show up and help. They're not acting enraged by people not having places to live and therefore going out and helping the homeless population in their area. They're not acting enraged about children that aren't being taken care of properly in foster care, and therefore like making that this one political issue that they all rally around. They picked the one thing they don't actually have to really show up for. And I think that's true of humans in general. Like, it's really hard to get us to advocate for things that don't affect us personally. And I would imagine that's the main reason why you're hearing more from women advocating for women's rights than you are for men. But Alyssa, on to you. Those are pretty much all my thoughts.
Okay. I am in a place where I really feel like masculinity and men in this country specifically are in the middle of like a legitimate crisis. Like, I am so worried about the way that masculinity has showed up in this country in the past couple of years. I think that it's like the way that Trump is a symptom and not the cause of it is really concerning to me. He created an environment where people are just like saying the quiet part out loud, and like really emboldened this community. And I think it's like all related to, you know how people say oppression feels, or equality feels like oppression to people who've never felt it before. I think that's sort of where we're at. I think that we're in a place where men are not used to being held accountable. And so now that they are people fucking hate being held accountable. They hate being vulnerable. They hate having conversations that are, hey, the issues that are coming up for women are also your issues because they affect you too. We are not like seahorses that like impregnate ourselves. Like, is that the one that does that? I don't know. No, seahorse men carry babies, but whatever. Anyways, we need both to some degree. And so this is an issue for both sides, no matter what. And not for some reason, I think that it's like a gender politics issue. They love to divide us, and they love to create enough friction that there are these massive movements. And I think it is way easier to be angry than it is to be vulnerable. It is so much easier to be angry. And so I think that there is a group of people who has really like sunk their teeth into that. So we have, shut the hell up. So we have a bunch of men who feel oppressed because they are being held to a standard of equality. Then they're also being told that they should be angry. And then we have women who are standing up and saying, I actually don't give a fuck about creating family with you or creating community with you or having connection with you anymore. And so I think it's like they've created so much hurt, and then everyone's now starting to like build this like big brick wall to separate ourselves from them and like protect ourselves from them. And it's making them even more angry. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just a hot mess. And I genuinely, like I said, I really feel like masculinity is in like actual crisis mode. And I am deeply concerned about what the future of this is going to look like. Especially if people are trying to get other people on board with 4B, which I agree, Eve, is not going to work here. And I think you had said this like a long time ago about 4B. Like, I don't want a situation where there are like the only babies that are born in the next 5 to 10 years are babies that are going to be indoctrinated with like super conservative, like super Christian nationalism shit. That sounds terrible. So I need my snowflake blue-haired liberals to also continue to have babies, because we're going to need them in the future. Like, we need them real bad. So anyway, those are my thoughts. That was not very concise, but those are my thoughts, Giddy.
Okay. Could you help me here? Because I'm a little confused by both of your comments. And that, from what I gathered, basically Eve Thomas Never, you said that it's hard to get people to show up for something that doesn't really affect them. but that was followed up by Alyssa's statement that makes it seem like this is a crisis and it affects everybody. And that seems like oil and water. I don't know how to put those two together.
Yeah, I think if you want to find the emulsifier here, it's that I agree with Alyssa and that I do think this impacts men, but I think they're trying to prevent themselves from ending up in a society where it does. That's why we still have religious people advocating for patriarchy, because then this stuff doesn't impact them. But if they want to progress with the rest of us, if they want to be with women that are attempting to progress in society and have autonomy and all of that, then it is going to impact them, and that is something they're going to have to recognize. The reason I don't think a lot of men are jumping over and saying, like, how can we help, which there are also, we do need to credit the fact that there are a lot of men like that. I have a lot of men like that in my life. We have a lot of men like that here on the line that are hosts that are doing this work because they are feminists. But why we don't see more of that, I think, is because they are not able to see how this is going to impact them, because I don't think they've progressed their values yet to get to a point where their values will be impacted by this. They're comfortable, and being comfortable is the number one stopper of progress.
So you're saying that it's going to get worse for anything to change?
You know what I think?
I have no idea personally.
I said this. You know what? Of all the opinions that I've had on this show, this was the one that people were most like up in arms about. And I still, unfortunately, think it's true that the way that we're going to have to play this, and truly the only way that we're going to make progress that is tangible, is by being compassionate and finding ways to connect with these men who are being so shitty. And I hate it. I fucking hate that. And it's the truth. Because if these men are going to keep showing up here and wanting to take away our rights, and then our response is 4B, those men are already so angry. Like, they're already so angry that we're definitely not solving anything by depriving them. And also, unfortunately, they've shown how they have shown up to polls and how they have been successful in a lot of ways. And so we live in a patriarchal culture. So, like, they do have the upper hand. And I would like to see a world where we can sort of like be like, you know, kind of screw you guys, and you don't get the benefit of me being kind to you anymore and trying to like teach you. But I think especially for white women who have a big hand in how this election was shaking out, we have a responsibility, unfortunately, to share some to try and get this very angry, disenchanted group of men who really wants to rely on their ego for everything. We have to find a way to break through to them, and it's not going to be by being angry. And it sucks. And I'm scared to check our chat because I know that people are going to fucking hate it, and I hate it too. But I don't know any other solution.
I'll agree with you. It does suck because I live with those kind of people, and it's harder to be nice to them than it is to, like, I kind of want to do the 4B movement, because as is, I don't sleep with men anyway. So
yeah,
like, but I don't know. Well,
Yeah,
that was a
I think
bummer. Thank you.
when it comes to things like 4B movement and all of that, I believe in autonomy, and I want people to still live their lives. And that's why it's hard for me to get behind something like that. Obviously, at a certain point, if we want progress as a society, we have to come together and find ways to make, group sacrifices and all of that. But in general, I think that's why it's up to you as an individual. You have to decide, what can I live with? Can I live with doing this or not doing this? What makes me feel like I'm contributing to the progress of society better? And that's up to you. And yeah, that's why it's really hard for me to have a very strong opinion about this, because I don't like telling other people what they should or shouldn't do, because it's really rare that I do think should or shouldn't even is applicable. But I appreciate the question. That's an interesting thing to think about, and you're welcome to call back if you get more thoughts after this. I'm sure there'll be interesting comments about it too.
Okay. Did I win? No. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Giddy. Thanks for calling.
Thank you,
You win.
Giddy.
You win because you didn't lose like some callers do. So,
Okay.
bye,
I'll take that.
Giddy. Have a good one.
Have a good night, Kitty.
I think like a call where somebody wins. We should start having awards. Maybe that would be really funny. Like a little
What
badge
kind of
award.
award are you thinking?
I
Of,
don't
like,
know,
winning?
an award for like not being an asshole, or an award for like answering the questions honestly. Like we should come up with names for some of these things. An award for interrupting us more than anybody ever has, or like different things. It would be exciting.
We at the line, we at Chewed Gum, we the people, we will not tolerate mediocrity. Answering the question, mediocrity.
Good point.
You just showed up.
Well, we could give them participation awards for participating and listening.
We're never going to beat the snowflake accusations at this rate. We're giving
So
participation
true.
awards.
Not as long as men keep calling the show and make terrible arguments, like some people that I won't say their names. We have one last caller. Are you ready for that? And then we'll get to super chats of $5 or more. Okay,
Yes,
let's do it.
ma'am.
Hey, Herb, you are on with Promise and Alyssa, and it's so nice to not accidentally out myself every time I answer the phone. How are you tonight? Hello? Herb?
Herb?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey there. Yes, we can.
Hi, yes, we can.
You're on with Promise and Alyssa. What did you want to talk to us about tonight?
Hi. So, I wanted to talk to you guys about the concept of like how when but first I want to ask you a question. So this is regarding like the concept of like mass attendance. When you guys like grew up, were you, as part of your religion, were you guys required by your family to like go to a weekly church service kind of deal?
I was raised, my parents were pastors, and I was at services almost every day for most of my, for sure, teen years, and, like 8, 9, 10, 11. I was homeschooled. Most of our schooling took place at church, in the church office while my parents were working. So yeah, I was there, and it was definitely required. And then as I got older, it was expected. And then I went to ministry school where I was a worship pastor, worship leader, and I was definitely required to be at all the meetings. So yes, definitely understand that. Alyssa, what about you?
Yeah, I had to go every Sunday, and then I had CCD, which was like my church school, I guess, after that. And then we go for holidays and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Because the issue that I wanted to ask about was like, what do you do like when you get older, and there's a time for me where in a sense, like if I like when you're asked like, hey, do you want to go to mass with me? It's asked almost like with this hidden implication of you better go or else we will have a negative opinion of you kind of wind that I start to pick up from that. And and the reason why I feel like I'm in a bit of a tight spot is because I haven't like told my family that I'm like more in the agnostic camp, and for a while like it's hard like to go to like to do this kind of thing when like you genuinely don't feel convinced by it, but at the same time I don't want to like just say something that would like cause the alarms to buzz off loudly in their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really tough. If your goal is to kind of preserve peace for yourself, then I think there's no problems with just saying, oh, I'm busy at that time, or whatever you need to do, and then going sometime if you can handle that. Because I think kind of the position I've taken is you kind of have to either go ahead and say, hey, guys, this is not my thing. I love you all so much, but I am feeling really protective over my time and that I spend my energy on things I really want to be a part of. And this is not one of those. It's just not. It's not doing anything for me, and I don't want to be there, and I want to enjoy when I'm with you, and this is not going to help that. Or, and I fully understand this, and I've been there, and there are certain people in my life I will do this for, specifically older people. If it means something to them for me to show up to some traditional thing that for an hour I'm going to be bored out of my mind and think it's ridiculous, whatever, I'll do it. Just like I will go with some of the young people in my life to a silly little movie with a bunch of like yellow things laughing because I'm like, you know what, this makes them happy. I'll go do it. So I think you just have to decide what you can live with. And I don't think there's a wrong answer here. If you are just like, I cannot go to another one of these things, then that unfortunately for you does mean there is the risk of vulnerability and having to choose to show up on another level of, hey guys, this is just not for me, and I want to enjoy my time with you, and I don't enjoy it when we're doing this. What can we find that we can all enjoy together? Or, like I said, come up with excuses when you can, show up when you can, and just, get through it and know that it's one of those annoying things in life that we all have. You get to decide what annoying things you're willing to deal with and what you're not.
Yeah, but and the other thing too, though, is, and this is something that somebody my family says, they would say something like that. They would say, like, you can increase the likelihood of you going to heaven by the number of times you consume the Eucharist, like what they call the host, where it's believed that the priest holds up that large wheat wafer, and it is believed that he says a few words and it becomes the body of Christ, right? And eventually after a while, I asked myself this question of, wait a minute, I don't understand how going into a building with the words Roman Catholic Church in its name and putting a wheat wafer in your mouth while believing with absolute conviction, regardless of whether it's true, that how I don't get how that's supposed to make you a good person. Right. And that's what I'm starting to read. And then when I asked myself this, I was like, you know what? I don't think it does. And then that combined with a sermon that I heard once back in 2023, there was a pastor who said, well, guys, the heart of religion is not morality, but it's worship. And the heart of worship is sacrifice. And then proceeds to end it with, we should never attend mass to spectate. But that priest, basically, he inadvertently made me realize something that I've not known, which is that the purpose of religion isn't supposed to be a moral thing. And it's like, but now I'm like, sorry. Sorry.
No, I sorry, I interrupted you because I was going to ask you to continue, and then you were, so I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, but based on that, it's like, and then at one point I told, a family member of mine, who eventually got more suspicious of me, like, missing the services, and I said, oh, well, I saw in the Bible a passage where it says God can be seen, but in another book it says he can't be. So which one is it? And the person then proceeds to say, oh, well, don't you realize that's just an Old Testament book? Which I take to mean, and I could be wrong. It might take it to mean, well, you should just disregard this. But then comes the next problem of, okay, well, if that's the word of God, then how do you know which piece you're supposed to take at face value and which ones you're supposed to ignore?
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, but then my question is, okay, well, what would I, but then so that's why I thought to myself, what if it was possible where like you tried to slowly get my family members to become comfortable with the fact that I was starting to notice contradictions with what I'm hearing in church versus what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think that's when it comes down to, are you ready to open up a can of worms or not? Because that's what you're going to do. You can't just poke a hole at one part of this. If you pull on the thread, it will undo the entire sweater. And then you have to decide what you want to do with that. So I think instead of looking at well, how much can I say? you have to figure out if you want to say anything at all, and then be
Mhm.
willing to go with whatever happens from there, because you don't really get to control the questions that are going to come at you. You do get to control your responses, of course, but if you poke the bear a tiny bit, it will either wake up or not, you know. It's either going to cause some problems or make a wave, or it won't, and you don't know what's going to happen until you do that. So it's up to you to decide. For me, I decided I want to just, it's easier for me, and obviously now that I have a platform, you know, everybody knows that I do this. So I decided I don't want to live a life where I'm not just being fully upfront and just saying I don't believe in this stuff. I don't want to talk to you about it, but I don't believe in it. And it caused a lot of ripples. I was no contact with my family for a year. So there are consequences. So, you know, I think it's just something for you to sit with and decide what's going to work best for you and what you feel ready to engage in, what kind of conversations you want. Talking to a professional about how to handle this is great. There's the Secular Therapy Project, and they have therapists that know exactly how to deal with people that are kind of navigating circumstances with family that believes when you don't believe, and how to bring those things up, and how to, you know, you're going to have boundaries, because at a certain point you're probably not going to want to answer some of the questions, because it sounds like this is all stemming from a point of maybe wanting a boundary about what you do with your time to begin with. So yeah, I think bottom line, unless Alyssa wants to add anything before we let you go, just I would take this and sit and see what you are prepared to deal with. If you want this to become the next adventure in your life, do it. I fully support you. If you don't want any more adventures in your life, you don't owe them any information at all. You can just say you're busy, and that's good.
Yeah, and I think everything that Promise said, I'm aligned with, and I think that you can have a conversation with them too. Like, be open to the possibility of a conversation that is, I am navigating my faith, and I would really appreciate your support in keeping a boundary about that conversation while I navigate it. Whatever you guys want to do and what you believe in is fine. I just want a little bit more of a boundary in that while I'm navigating this. And at some point they'll let it go, because you've created a boundary that you don't want to talk about it. And I think when you have conversations like that, it's also really important to remind them that you love and care about them regardless of their faith, and that you hope that they can do the same thing for you. You know what? As a person, you're from New York and are being raised in a church, so you and I, Herb, not so different, you and I. So throw that guilt right back. You ricochet that shit back. I'm kidding. But I mean,
the thing is,
it kind of is like you kind of are like it is and it isn't true, but like you kind of are saying like, I'm willing to be present and open and loving to you while you still live in your faith, and I am really counting on you to do the same thing for me while I navigate potentially like removing myself from it, or like navigating what that means for me.
And at first, though, when I reached this realization, it's and at first, I mean, I almost felt similar to like a character in like a George Orwell's 1984, like like the thought police going around, but it's almost like well, I have my own thoughts about things, and like being able to think freely about topics is what they like should be allowed, like being able to express like what you think. But the thing about that is, like, I guess the thing about that is, before I can do something like that, I would first, like you said, I would have to like express a boundary to my family, saying, listen, I love you guys, but I prefer to spend my time a different way. And I just don't feel comfortable like going to some of these Sunday church meetings.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to go about it. I think that sounds amazing. I think the main thing to remember is that you get to decide, and there's not a right or wrong answer. It's what's right is what is going to work for you, that you can live with. So, but thanks so much, Herb, for calling in. We're going to get to our super chats now, but you're welcome to call back anytime. We'd love to hear an update on how that goes, especially if you end up having, a conversation and how you choose to go about that, if you feel comfortable calling back and sharing that with us.
Right. Cool. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Have a good night.
Bye. Oh, I think I might have cut him off. I'm sorry.
We do that all the time. It's so
I
hard, so
know.
difficult.
Although someone in the chat roasted me and said, do people actually talk like that? Who uses the word, like I've never used the word navigate in casual conversation. And listen,
I use that word all the time.
Here's the thing. I feel like I use words like that all the time, but you don't have to use those words. That's the way that I expressed it because that made sense for me and the way that I would word it. But like, use whatever words you want. But
I'm
it just like
pretty
made me
sure
laugh.
that I used
was
that word earlier too to get a therapist to help you
Yeah.
navigate through conversation. Like that's, I don't know. I use that word all
Yeah.
the time.
But I guess, whatever. The way that I was phrasing it was not the way that person would phrase it, and that's okay, but it just made me giggle. Oh my God, super chats. I missed super chats so much.
Same. I miss you. I'm so glad I got to see you. We need, sorry everybody, but we need like a private Zoom sometime too to catch up.
Yes, we do.
And then,
Yes, we
and then
do.
we'll come back and
Love
hang out with the rest of you.
Yeah, exactly.
$5 Australian from Fake Gaming Nerd. Call screener said I had to send them a nickel for not capitalizing Australia, and with the current exchange rate, that's $5 Australian. Thank you
That's
so
amazing.
much.
Thank
Fake
you.
gaming nerd is Joe.
Oh, thanks, Joe. If that's you.
$5 for Monkey, a typewriter. My name and I have a similar relationship. It's Japanese and is a religious figure, but over time, the meaning and feeling of it has become mine. I love that.
That's cool. Look at us embracing our names. I mean, I could change it. That is very true. Also, like, I don't care that much. And I changed my last name because I don't really want to share the last name of my ministry family. So it was like, how much do I really need to change? Especially when I don't have big problems with my name. I understand that a lot of people think it's a dumb name. It is a weird name. It's a word. But I don't care. It's mine. So $4.99 from the Persistent Horrors. Two of my favorite hosts. Thank you both for teaching me so much. P.S. Alyssa, your laugh is so contagious. You always have me chortling along with you. Alyssa's laugh is my favorite. If I even see, because a lot of times I'll go like try to find a clip for something for work or like try to go respond to a comment on YouTube and it will just like pull up. I'll like, of course, have my phone on silence because I'm in public and I'm not trying to be the worst human ever. But I will just see Alyssa laughing in her face and I'm just like, I love her so much. I think I was in the car on the way to Disney and I was telling my husband, I was just like, I just love Alyssa and I love her laugh and I love the faces she makes. She's
oh my God, I love you. That's so nice. I've always like wanted to be a person with a contagious laugh and I didn't know that I was that person. So wow, I'm living my dream, guys.
You are the epitome of that person. Are you kidding me? That's
amazing.
you.
I love you
Dream
guys.
fulfilled.
See, this is why I said I missed you guys so much. Like I love this community so much because you guys compliment me all day long. Of course I love it here. $20 from Melatonin Ale. I had a name issue before. People called me Allie, and I went with it because Alejandra was too complicated for them, I guess. Now I introduce myself as Ale or Alejandra because I shouldn't need to change that for others. I agree. At this conference that I was at, there were a lot of like Indian people there who had names it was like the first time that many of us had heard them before, and they all had the most beautiful meanings. Like that one of my now friends, Tasneem, her name means Fountain of Paradise. And I was like, don't you dare abbreviate your name. Your name means
That's
Fountain
beautiful.
of Paradise. Literally
That's
just
so
say it to me
cool.
twice. Yeah, so I make sure I say it right. Tasneem, I will never not say your name, baby girl. And I love the name Alejandra. I love the name Alejandra.
Me too.
Also it's not that hard to say.
No, it's a great name. $19.99 from Balthazar. Speaking of hard to say, 228. 1 + 1 = 2 is in the Principia Mathematica, is a 3-volume work on the foundations of mathematics written by the mathematician philosophers Alfred North Whitehead and Bertrand Russell and published in 1910, 1912, and 1913. We should have made Cody cite sources.
Ugh, you're right.
But he won. He won, so what can we do, you know?
He won, so it doesn't matter, really, at the end of the day. $9.99 from Jamnik06. I'm wearing my chewed, I'm going to say CG, my chewed gum shirt while speaking out against Florida's chaplains in schools program. Someone else was wearing a shut the fuck up shirt.
Do you know?
Is that
Okay,
also
I
our
don't know if
merch?
you know about this. Jimmy on one of the episodes, he like sent it to me. I'm pretty sure he was still on air, and he was like, "Go watch this right now." He slipped up and said, "Shuck the fut up," and instantly turned it into like this hilarious like oyster thing. And it's a hoodie now that I wish we had,
I've
and I'm
seen.
upset that we don't. It was
Yeah.
like an exclusive "Shuck the fut up" shirt
That's
or hoodie. So, but that's
incredible.
amazing. That's so cool that you guys saw each other. That's
I
really
love
great.
it. Oh my God. You found this community in real life. I would literally poop my pants if I saw someone who was wearing like the line merch in real life. I would be like,
$5 from Monkey at Typewriter. Cody is out here with Dunning-Kruger for all of life. Like he learned a few things and assumes he's a genius. Dude, go solve world peace, bro. You know, I think he exposed himself a bit when he suddenly said something about how he had an experience. He was in a bad place and then he saw Jesus, I think he said, or something. I don't want to, we can go back and listen to it. But, you know, he alluded to a personal mystical experience that he had. And if he's who I remember from my Instagram, he's talked about these mystical experiences before. And I say, just be honest and say that you personally were convinced because you had something happen to you that you want to apply a name to, and so you've decided that's what it was. I think that's the problem that was happening with Cody, and now Cody needs to be able to prove this to other people and is unable to do so, which, just be honest. Just say, I had this thing happen. You're going to say you don't know what it was. Well, I say, I think it was God. And go ahead.
Yeah.
That,
It also was interesting because he kept saying like that he was not religious. And I was like, I don't really think that. And then again, like you're telling me that you're
ended it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Continue. I was going to say like it was annoying to me that then he said that we were not acting in integrity. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like you have literally like found ways to sidestep everything that we've requested from you. And you're the one who picked up the phone and called us. So what do you mean?
Yeah. Well, he was winning. So, you know, what can you do? Is this you or me? Oh, I think this is
it's me. $10 from Alishana Silverbow. Quantum mechanics, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, God. Let's just call that Schrodinger's God. It exists and doesn't until observed, and its wave function collapses. Boom. I just invented a quantum God. Period.
Yeah, it's so much more interesting to actually talk about what we know, not just like take words and apply them over things we're figuring out. I don't know. $4.99 from Ian Colson. I'd bet my salary for the year Cody would not say these things to male hosts. I don't know. Maybe Cody will call on Sunday. I'm doing the Sunday show with Matt. So if Cody is really good at winning, that is a wonderful time to prove it.
If he's smart.
I learned from Matt. So if you want to talk to the guy that I learned from, then there you go.
If he's smart, he will not pick up that phone on Sunday, but I don't know. $5 Australian from PhD Tony. Typically, the participants in a contest such as a formal debate are not the people who get to decide if they won, as both sides will assert that. Right. Again, he was like, I would love to have a formal debate. This is a debate show, and you couldn't even do an informal debate.
Well, and he says that he's on Instagram winning every day. And I'm just like, first of all, if you have that brilliant of an argument, then I expect, and you're so ambitious as to call into a call-in show and say you're winning, then why have more people not heard this brilliant argument? Like, that's amazing. Right. You should win a Nobel Prize, honestly, at that point. But yeah, when you call, that's what I was trying to say. When you have to tell me you won, then like you kind of lost already.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, I agree.
$5 for Monkey at Typewriter. I think the God of Cody's universe is there to assure him that he's not the problem. Or maybe he really is above it all, but he's not listening. So, yeah. I mean, that's what we say about these calls. If you listen and respond, it goes pretty well, I think.
Yeah. He even admitted to not listening and then tried to blame it on ADHD. Please.
I love that you called him out on that. I wanted to be like,
give
dude,
me a
half
break.
of us here have all kinds of things going on with our brains, and we do what we need to do to be able to have these conversations. So if you
Right.
call
And
us,
also,
then be prepared.
exactly. You called me. $4.99 from Ian Colson. I'm so here for Alyssa and Eve professionally putting Cody in his damn place. My favorite thing is
Professionally.
to like keep composure, speak at a level tone, and then also be able to tell someone like Cody, like, figure it out. Figure it out. I don't need to yell at you to make you feel like you need to figure it out. I could do that
Yeah.
at this tone.
Yep. Agreed. Is this mine?
Yes.
$5 from Dade Murphy. All I want to know is your wife going to hell? If so, why aren't you doing everything you can to save her? Oh, that's an interesting question for James. That call that went really well. Went so well that I remember James's name. So many theists are like, you don't remember me? I'm like, no, because if the call went badly, I probably already forgot about it. But but yeah, that's a great question. I what I find, because a lot of my close friends are theists, and they don't believe in hell. So that might be James's position. Maybe James will call back sometime and we can talk religion. But we were, I guess, more talking about the culture surrounding it.
Yeah. That's interesting. $5 from the Raven 200. Alyssa's dogs really wanted to make a cameo. LMAO. We already love you, doggo. Chill. Yeah, no, they were a little.
That was so terrifying.
So my friend is here, and so they already are like on guard because they know that there's a person who does not live here who's in the house, and then we also ordered pizza, and so that's when they really, all of the Chihuahuas had to come and let that pizza delivery man know what the fuck was up. So
good for them.
And I also
guarding the house.
At some point, Bonnie came and wanted to be brought up onto the bed, and I just like it was during James's call, and I'm listening to James, and also like Bonnie's little body is just like on the screen, and I'm placing her down. I was like, this is so ridiculous, but they literally rule my life in a way that is so absurd. And I saw people in the comments; they were like, Bonnie, she's a part of the show.
She is. She's the honorary co-host. She's our mascot.
Exactly.
$4.99 from Jamnik06. And how do you say that word? Osceola? From some county, Florida, where DeSantis signed the chaplains in schools law. The school board just voted down implementing the program. If I'm reading this correctly, that's great.
I think that's good news.
Yeah, because if they're thinking this through correctly, that creates an inroad for, I know is it the Satanic Temple, I think? Or the Satanic Church, I don't remember, goes around and they're able to set up after school programs for kids to learn about Satanism. So
that's hilarious.
Do you want religious freedom for all? Do you want to maybe like keep things secular, which I think is better? Anyways, thanks, Jamnik.
$10 from the Raven 200. I can take everything James said and replace God/religion with anime. Speaking of which, Jimmy, go take a Cherry Blossom Clash by Sakura Haruno. Then an 8 trigrams, 64 palms assault by Hinata Hyuga. I hope I'm saying that right. And
that was
also,
really well done.
I love a joke that's so niche that I have no idea what you're talking about. I love it.
Solid.
Thank you for sharing.
10 pounds from Herbie Shine. Great show as always, ladies. Alyssa was particularly awesome with Cody, but he obviously won because he always does. I agree with the part about Alyssa. I literally messaged her in the middle and I was like, you're amazing.
You did? I didn't even see that. But thank you. I love you.
Earlier, yes.
Also,
but yes, agreed.
Do you see the clips of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo? I think
it's us. It's us on Chewed Gum tour.
When people
you
are
and
like
holding pinkies, holding space together, crying over and over again. That's if we ever get our Chewed Gum World Tour.
Literally, that is us to a T. That is us literally just being like, anyone asks us a question about the other person, and we're just like, holding pinkies, unable to hold it together. I just love her so much. And we still
haven't met in person. Imagine if we spent 2 years filming a movie together.
I'm going to need to literally make extended eye contact with you for 4 minutes when I meet you the first time.
We're just gonna like hold hands and just hold space together, and then we're gonna go out and take over New York City or whatever city we're in. So
Yeah, Yuka's gonna be like,
Um,
what the fuck is going on?
I'm gonna be like, who is that? I don't know. I'm with Alyssa right now.
Something is happening.
Is this? Oh,
Is
this
this me?
No, this is you. Okay, it is you.
Okay. $5 from Monkey at Typewriter. Promise you guys should do an end of year award show. Most ignorant caller, best direct answer to a question, best how do you say that word?
Interlocutor.
Interlocutor.
Now I can't say it
What
either.
does that mean in a combative
Inter-
call? What does that mean?
The person that
You
you're
know?
speaking with.
Oh, girl, you should have said
Like,
that.
that's-
You wanted me to say that instead?
Girl.
Will, please. You watch the show every week. You know I can't say that shit. Oh my God. I appreciate your faith in me, though. I love you.
That's amazing. Yeah, it would be like the Dunder Mifflin Awards. That would be so fun. We should do it.
I love it. I would be down, honestly. Oh, I saw this come through and I like,
Jordan.
You guys.
$49.99 from Jordan Ross. Hi, friends. Y'all are the best.
We
am
love
hanging out-
Jordan.
I don't know if I should be saying that, but I'm hanging out on the internet because that's the only way I ever talk to people this week, and I'm so excited because I love Jordan.
Wait,
I'm so excited to
hanging out in
finally chat.
person?
No, only
Okay.
online. We're finally connecting online. So
Okay.
thank you.
I was going to say, if you guys were hanging out in person, I would ask you to FaceTime me, but it's fine. I love Jordan, and I need to give people on the show background on who Jordan is because he deserves his moment for a second. So Jordan Ross is an actor. He works on a show called The Chosen, and The Chosen is a show that tells stories of the Bible.
My family are big fans, so I love this crossover.
Me too. So I told him when he followed me on Instagram, I literally was like, is he lost? He must be lost. But so I got to do an episode of his podcast. Did you do his podcast also? Oh, he's going to ask you to do it. Don't worry. And it's so much fun. And he's
I just don't know if I'm supposed to say anything, so I'm just trying to be discreet. But yeah.
Oh, I don't know. He made a promo and I'm in it. So I
Yay.
assume that it's public enough knowledge that
Yes.
So anyways, so he makes this podcast. It's called What's Your Limp? Because he does have like a physical limp. But he specifically reaches out to people knowing that he has an audience that is primarily conservative Christian folks. He reaches out to people who he knows are going to have different opinions so that they can bring them to the table. So like, for instance, he reached out to me knowing his audience was going to have, natural friction to the things that I was going to say for the purpose of bringing me to their table. That is so courageous and so brave. And I adore him. He is
So
the
cool.
sweetest man. So yeah, 10 out of 10. We love Jordan. And also my parents freaked out. Like Kelly Clarkson DM'd me when I said that he messaged me because they do watch The Chosen. But I just appreciate someone using their platform in that way, wanting to really expand the people that are his community, which is it's just so great.
Yeah.
I just adore him.
I think that's one of my frustrations with society in general, and I get it because I fall into this trap of these echo chambers that we build that we love to be in, and I just love people that are putting an effort like Jordan is to break down some of those walls. I think oftentimes we have a lot of very similar concerns in life, and we process them differently, and we navigate them differently. But it's important for us to hear that so that we can then form healthier and better perspectives. So anyways, love that. Is this one me? $20 from Wild Willie Tex. Thank you for the very easy super chat to read. And thank you for the support.
Yeah, thank you so much. $10 from SJL. I just want to make sure I was reading that right. Embrace the name you want to use. I hate it when I introduce myself and people insist on using the nickname version of my name. I let it slide for my whole work life. No more. Good for you. Stand your ground.
Nice. Love it. That's great.
If everyone else in your life and your community can say your name, new people can learn how to say your name too. If they care enough, they will learn how to say it. And if they don't care, then bye.
Yep. $5 from Larry Fishman. Alyssa's weird cats are feisty. Your weird cats.
Yeah. Weird cats.
Thanks, Larry.
£5 from Ian Roche. Great show as always. I'm genuinely curious. Most of these angry men were raised by women and have women they care about. What went wrong? Hashtag Cody lost. You know, there are a lot of of women who are really strange about when they're raising their boys and have very baby boy, this is my baby boy, he can do no wrong vibes. So I don't know, maybe some of them have that, but I also think there's only so much that a mom can do.
Yeah,
Men
it's a
find,
cultural issue for sure.
yeah, and they find a lot just like women look for validation from other women, men look for validation from other men, and it really just depends on the community you surround yourself with. So there's only so much you can do. Your mom is just one person. So
Yeah, and I think
don't
it's how
know.
society views these things too, like how we view anger and how we view emotions and the way they're expressed from different genders. And I think there's so much there to break down. But patriarchy is designed to try to obviously uphold itself. So it's recreating the same monster, not calling men monsters, but monster as in these ideologies over and over and over again. And it's really hard to get out of it, even when you are raised by women. Also, so many women, as a coping mechanism, because that's to survive, we've developed, I know I encounter it in myself all the time and I have to check it, but internalized misogyny. So, it's culture kind of dictates how these things play out, and we're fighting against a lot to undo it.
Yeah.
But thanks, Ian. $20 from Dave Marvin, single dad, secular humanist, raising a teenage boy in a world of toxic masculinity. We watched Chewed Gum on the drive snowboarding. Most of his friends are girls. Thank you for adding female POVs to his lexicon. Great work. That's so cool. Thanks so much for playing our stuff. I love that.
I
Thanks,
love it.
Dave.
Thank you. $10 from President Starscream. Shut up and take my money. Please don't actually shut up, though. What you do is so important, and I hope your voices reach more who need to hear them. Heart.
Aww,
thank you.
Thank you.
That's really sweet.
$5 from Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow. Where does a mansplainer get his water? From a well, actually. Hashtag death. That's really good. That's great.
Love it. $5 from Bobby Keniston. I have to run. We'll have to watch the rest later. Just wanted to say hi and happy to see you both. Always happy to see you in the chat. I'm still waiting
Thanks,
for your
Bobby.
call.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still waiting.
$5 from Joshua Everett. I'd extricate myself from any conversation that include the word navigate. I love that word.
I'll think of other words.
Using it. We should have a word counter for every time you say navigate now, just for fun.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I use that word all the time. I never even realized that was
I do too. I don't.
You guys, you're roasting me into being self-conscious about my using the word navigate. Jeez Louise. Okay.
Don't apologize to them either.
That's my girl. $5 from Alichana Silverbow. A man walks into a bar because it was so low. I love that. Hashtag Promise and Alyssa are the dream team. Yeah, girl.
Aww. Thank you. $5 from the Raven 200. Since I started learning my tribe's language, I don't want to say this wrong, but I'm going to. Nez Pierce. I've been making an effort to use my name in Nez Pierce. Oh boy, I can't even begin to pronounce that correctly. I would love to hear this because I bet it's amazing.
Yeah,
I use both names equally now. Yeah, the phonetic spelling.
Love it. Yeah, give us the phonetic
but that's
spelling.
Super cool.
Westernized culture needs to get okay with saying names that are not westernized. It's just a little bit ridiculous that we've forced people to have westernized names like that. That's really stupid and embarrassing. So I'm glad that everyone is using the names that they love and feel comfortable with, whether that is a westernized name and that's what you love. Amazing. But embrace your names. I promise you, no, if any one person can say your name, every person can say your name. It's just, Anyways, $5 from Stephanie Helms. Almost went with Ava, but my mom told me Stephanie would have been my birth name had I been AFAB. Oh,
that's cool.
That's really sweet. I love that.
Thanks for sharing.
Like such a nice, yeah, that's like such a nice connection to your mom.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
That's really cool. $5 from Moira Bannister. Speaking of names, because I just love the way it sounds to say Moira. Yes, get it, Bonnie. Did Cody try to pull a Charlie Sheen and drink tiger's blood before calling? I don't know what happened, but it was interesting. It's very interesting.
$5 from SJL. The Chewed Gum 1 year anniversary is in about 3 months. Big plans. I was literally just thinking about that. We've almost been doing this a year.
First of all, I feel like we've been doing this my whole life because I don't want to
know.
think about a time without you. So this has always been. But also, we should definitely celebrate.
We need to celebrate. We'll
What
celebrate.
if we could do
We'll
it in
something.
person? What if we could do it in person? I could come to New York. We can both sit on your shaky bed and have a shaky camera.
I will poop my pants. Oh my God. I won't,
but let's do it.
Okay. Oh my God.
Guys, we'll talk. This is great. This is a great idea.
Oh
We're
my
going to be
God.
texting.
Wow. Thrilled. Also, Jordan just put us in a group chat. What a happy group chat that is. What a happy, unlikely group chat that is. I love it.
So excited.
Okay. $10 from Jamnik06. The Satanic Temple had reps at, I think that's Osceola. Oh my God. He literally said it. Oh, sorry. County School Board.
Thank you.
In August, this was the final vote. They will not be implementing Governor DeSantis's chaplains in school in this county.
Good.
Wow. That's amazing.
Very good. That's good to know that Florida's
I love it. I love that the Satanic Temple was like, hold on, hold my beer. I'm going to fix this. No worries.
Yeah, I think they've been doing that all over, which is super cool.
It's so
well,
good. It's so
I missed you. It was so good to be back. Oh, I just realized I never did announcements. So let me do those real quick. Wow, we were just like having so much fun chatting, and the call went so well with Cody that I just was like straight on to the other caller. So real quick, tomorrow night we have the hang up with Matt and Eric SS. Then we have Takis on Thursday with Josie and Luxander. On Sunday, it's myself and Matt Dillahunty. After Dark show that evening will be Matt again and Aaron Adair, and then Skep Talk on Monday with Erica Gibbon. To be decided who else will be hosting that night. But Tuesday, you're back here with Alyssa and myself. So can't wait to see you guys. Love you all. This is always the best hang. Oh, $5 from Joshua Everett. I'll start funding the first anniversary plane ticket. Oh, thanks, guys.
So cute.
Yeah, we have to make it happen.
I wish we could do a thing where like we could do an anniversary like meetup somewhere, but I don't even know like where, because everyone listens from all over the place. Like I don't even know where we would go that would make sense to do that. But if that is something, I don't know.
Maybe like
maybe
2 or 3 or something. We can like have like a little event or something.
Yeah, that would be really fun. Oh, I don't know. We'll noodle on it and see. We'll have to think of a good way to celebrate the anniversary.
Let's do it.
I would love if we were together.
I know.
I might also be back. I might be back in Austin again. Actually, I think I will be back in Austin around like in 2 months. I will be in Austin.
We could do it from Jimmy's studio and all hang out, but then we have to kick him out while we do Chewed Gum because obviously we're not including him in the. Yeah. Goodbye. But we could use his face, so we could have art in there too. Okay, this is getting better and better. Well, thanks guys for the inspiration. We love you all. Special shout out to our call screeners, our moderators, and of course our favorite producer, Amargan. We love you guys. We'll see you back here on Tuesday nights, 6 p.m.
next week
Central Time. Yes.
There we go. I was gonna say, where's
the music? Yeah.